You can act like it, too, by stopping by any of 8th and Roast's 3 locations in Middle Tennessee, 8th Avenue, Charlotte, and the Broadview at Vanderbilt, their brand new spot. Go by and check them out there. Or if you're leaving Nashville, you can check them out at the airport. 8th and Roast Coffee cultivates community by the cup. You can find your favorite retail bag in every local Kroger and Whole Foods as well. Going to be joined by Titans head coach Brian Callahan coming up in just a moment after he survived the boom boom room yesterday on 3HL, meaning he will not be trapped with all the lost souls. That'll be good to go with us here in just a moment.
Savage said he feeds them well if they get trapped in there, though. He did say that. He feeds them well.
He feeds them well.
2 meals,
Voodoo donuts.
Though. Can't do only 2 meals, though. Just enough nourishment to keep
That's
them.
okay. You don't need 3 anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What's breakfast?
I would. I was just worried that Brent Doherty is going to get stuck in there because Brent Doherty just kept asking questions in the boom boom room. Even Joe Hunk was in the boom boom room. I don't know. I didn't know Joe had a key
I
to
asked
get into the
Ron
boom boom
about
room.
that. I said, "Do you let other people in?" And he said, "Not really."
No, he said somehow they want to go visit the prisoners in the boom boom room, man.
I know, man.
Like, what are we talking
Aren't you
about
the
here?
security? Like, shouldn't you be out there just cracking skulls, not letting anybody in the
I
door?
was trying to, man. I was driving while he was doing it, so I couldn't really help him out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't really help him out.
Stay out of there.
Stay out of the boom boom room.
Yeah, that's right.
I was in the gym, though, shoving in my headphones, trying
Were
to
you?
block out like crowd noise so I could hear the boom boom room.
You're like, quiet down over there on the bars.
People, they were talking to me, which is fine. I enjoy conversation at gyms and public places, but I was like, I'm trying to hear this interview. And
Yeah.
Savage got him in the boom boom room right now, man.
Oh, Slay's in the chat.
Yeah, he is.
In the F&M Bank chat, you can watch the show live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, or
Please.
listen on the 104.5 The Zone app. And we are pleased to be joined right now by the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan, who survived the boom boom room yesterday on 3HL and is now free to talk with us here this morning. What's going on, Coach? How are you?
Doing great. First day walking in the building without all the fanfare. Get to work, actually.
That's good stuff. Brian, what have the last 24 hours been like for you other than, answering about E40 and, California days and all the stuff? I really enjoyed the conversation you had with our teammates yesterday on 3HL. Just how have things kind of felt for you now, just waking up in Nashville as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, it feels real. Finally, that yesterday was kind of a surreal experience. Those are moments you sort of dream about and think about all the time, and hope you're lucky enough to be in one. And so, I enjoyed it. I sort of savored it, and I had a couple people in town, and that was about it. And I had dinner last night, and woke up this morning and came to work, and that was a good feeling. It feels things are settling down. I get my feet underneath me and get to work here.
Brian, we've heard a lot about the in-person interview you had with Burke Nihill, Amy Adams-Strunk, with everyone in that self-contained search committee, of course, here in the building, and just that turning into a workshop. But I want to go back to the first interview, and I know you had a lot of different conversations over Zoom, and that turns into a marathon of a week. But what kind of first impression did the Titans make? What immediately got your attention that this could be a place you could be a fit?
The way that Rand saw the culture, saw the building, saw building a team, just immediately resonated with me. And that's an incredible relationship that you have to have with the GM and the head coach. And so the immediate draw was like, oh, I like hearing what he has to say. And as we talked further, I think he felt the same way about me. And then as these conversations evolved and we kind of went further down the process, it was like, this is great. I could work with this guy every day, all day. And that's what drew me to it initially. And then as I met more people, I came in person for the interview, and I met the rest of the team here, and I met people on the business side, and I met, I just felt this sort of this energy in the building that they really want to win. And there's awesome people here, and people really like working for the Tennessee Titans. And that, to me, was the most important part. All the rest of it you can figure out. But if you're around good people every day and you like coming to work, you can do a lot of really cool things. And so that's what drew me here. And it just felt like a perfect fit. And as I was saying in the press conference, if I could have just begged Rand for the job after the first interview, I would have. And not because it's an NFL head coaching job, because this is where I wanted to be. And I felt that almost immediately. And it really is. It feels like the exact perfect fit for me. And I think that, and they felt the same.
Good morning, Coach Callahan. Welcome to Nashville, man. Glad to have you on the show with us this morning.
Thank you.
I have to ask the question. When you're negotiating and interviewing for a job, they usually try to tell you, your agents and stuff like that, whether you're a player or coach or whatever, hey, don't oversell yourself. Don't give up too much. At what point did you realize, all right, screw this, man. Let's go ahead and talk ball. I want you. I hope you want me to, because you were in competition with other coaches too.
Yeah, and I was also in conversation with other teams as well. And so, there was a lot going on. And as I got to the end of my interview, and I was sitting down talking with Rand, and I probably told him, and I said, look, I'm probably a poor negotiator here, but this is where I want to be. And I think that mattered. I think that they felt the same thing about me wanting to be here, and they wanted me here. So the fit felt right. And again, that's not probably, my agent probably wasn't thrilled that I told him that, but I didn't really care. You know what I mean? And I knew this was the place for me, and I didn't really care to go on any other interviews. And thankfully I didn't have to. But I didn't feel like I wanted to leverage and do all those things. I just said, you know what, this is what I want. Let's get this done.
Coach, it's fascinating. We have somebody in our chat listening to the show right now say, well, you did let us know. Well, I also had options too. Like, it wasn't like this was the only opportunity. So it's always good to put that out there, Coach.
There's no doubt.
I have to ask you this, man, as it pertains to your offense, the quarterback, and just some on-field stuff real quick. How do you get a young quarterback, whether it be Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, whoever you've worked for, now Will Levis, to understand the game more? And I mean in the aspect of Will Levis's completion percentage going up next year. But not just that. Mm-hmm. How do you shape a quarterback's mind to understand that's my wide receiver 1, that's my 2, that's my 3, and be strong enough to say in some games, because you said your game plans are fluid from week to week, look, wide receiver 1, this week ain't your week, or we're not going to come to you to the 4th. What goes into that process of curating them like that?
The starting point's always going to be, this is going to be a great experience for Will, because he gets a lot of the reps now that he maybe didn't get his first year. He was in competition, and rightfully so, he should have been. But now you get a bunch more time, and the focus is solely on doing everything that you can to help him succeed. And so the way you teach, the detail, and how you talk about progressions, just like you said, here's one. At some point, maybe you guys get a chance to see what these install sheets for the quarterbacks look like, and the notes that they have on them. And it's a lot of information. And so the best way I can explain it is there's a detail to it. And as you rep these concepts, the idea is that you're repping it versus all the different coverages. And so by the time you get to the game, there is no indecision. And Will should know from the snap point that I have 1, I don't have 2, I got to get to 3. And that's how you improve a completion percentage. That's how you improve his ability to distribute the ball. And again, every defense is different too. And so, like you said, there is weeks where, we might not throw to our top receiver because he's going to be clouded or doubled. And the guys that got to go win are the tight ends and the backs. And there's a lot of schemes that you face that do things like that. And so as you teach the system, you teach them where the answers are. And our goal is always going to be for the quarterback to have all the answers and all the tools available to him. So as he improves and gets more mastery over our system, now he can make checks. He knows where the ball has to go, and he can do it very quickly. And I think that also helps the pass protection part as well. If you're playing on time and making good decisions, usually tends to help those guys up front as well.
Coach Cal, first of all, welcome. And I know it's Coach Callie. We were talking about, and then I heard you say, whatever you call me, as long as it's, cool, let's flow with it. So when you go back and you look at your journey, it's been different from any head coach's journey, right? Everybody's journey is so different. And you go back to that time in De La Salle where your Coach Ladd, went undefeated for 12 straight seasons, won 12 straight championships. You were a part of some of that. What did you learn that was so crucial early on in your career that you've kind of carried with you along your journey?
Yeah, I look back on that now as a coach, and I marvel at it more now than I probably did then, just because I realize how hard it is to consistently win like that. That mentality, that edge, that's hard to do over long periods of time. And you want to talk about a master culture builder, and Coach Ladd, to be able to sustain that with new players every 2 years. There's kids, juniors and seniors, and they graduate, and you get new. And so what that environment was like was really it was intense, but it was one of those things where you didn't want to let the people in front of you that they came before you down, and you worked even harder to continue it, because as the games kept piling up, there was some pressure there. Like, you have to continue. Don't be the one that loses this thing, And thankfully, I wasn't a part of any of the losses. That was great, but there was a lot of pressure to continue to do the things the way that they wanted things done. And what was unique about that place was he had a great ability to take a bunch of kids and really teach them about what it means to commit to something, what it means to work, what work really looks like. And that, to me, it's always stuck with me. And the core of that program at the end of the day, though, was that we loved each other. I mean, all the guys at my wedding were all the guys I played with in high school. They're some of my best friends. They're to this day. And so that's the kind of relationships that I think made us great, is a bunch of guys that just absolutely loved playing together and going to school together and being around each other. And so that's always stuck with me and resonated with me. And it's I found over the years that all the good teams I've been a part of share a lot of those same characteristics. And I think when you look across sports, you see the same thing. And so the fundamentals of what championship teams look like, I don't think ever really change. They're there, and you can see them, and they're visible to people. And you try to emulate all that stuff the best you can.
I would think, too, along your journey, with working with so many of these quarterbacks with different personalities, different skill sets, part of it is obviously speaking and teaching, but part of it is also listening. And I think you mentioned yesterday, you don't always have to go with what they say, but listening is such a big part of it. How do you feel like that's going to help with you being now a head coach?
I think it's a huge part of, just relationships in general. But certainly as a head coach of a football team, and players, this is their show, man. The players got to play, and so I'm not out there playing. And if they have things that they feel like can help them play better, if they have a suggestion on a play, on a coverage, on a route, I think it's up to us to listen to that. And a lot of these guys know what they're doing. They know, they play a lot of football, and so I think you lean on the players to give you that. Now you have to earn that trust on both sides. They got to trust that you're going to listen, and you have to trust that they're giving you the right information, and that's part of building the relationship. But players have given great input over the years I've coached. I've loved hearing what guys have to say, and a lot of times it works. And so I'd be foolish to not take that into account as you're adjusting in a game or getting ready for a game plan. And it's critically important with the quarterback, because the quarterback room and that conversation and dialogue, they have to feel like there is no judgment on what they say. And if a quarterback says, I don't like that, that's great. That helps me trim the game plan down and make sure we're running the right things and being in the right silo of plays that they like. Because if you don't do that, they tend to not have the confidence in the play. They don't execute it as well. They don't play as fast, and those things matter. And so the more communication you have, the better you listen. I think the better product you can put on the field. And so I really don't know any other way. It's how I've been my whole career. That's just how I've functioned. That's how quarterbacks function. And so I've taken a little bit more of that quarterback room approach to the head coaching position, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Titans head coach Brian Callahan, our guest here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, you guys are straight into the draft process, free agency around the corner as well. And as you and Rand Carthon establish what the DNA of being a Tennessee Titan means, when you're speaking with prospects, as you talk with guys who are at the Combine, Senior Bowl, and wherever that process takes you, what do you want to learn from a potential Tennessee Titan? What does the DNA of a Titan look like for you?
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think, as I said yesterday, the starting point is you want resilient people, resilient mindsets, and you want relentless effort, relentless work, relentless finish, all those things. That's sort of like the baseline. But when you're looking at the makeup of the player, you got to have great character. You want guys that can learn, that are smart, and that they love playing football. And one of the things we did in Cincinnati, especially when we were trying to kind of climb out of the hole we were in, one of our I think second drafts maybe. I think we drafted like 7 out of 8 picks were team captains, and guys that played at big schools, so they played in big games and been a part of winning programs. The guys we signed in free agency, we tried to find guys that had come from playoff teams. And so you try to inject as much of that success into your program as possible with that type of character. And again, still got to be really good players. That's the bare minimum. But I think when you're trying to build a team, you want to infuse that character as best you can. And part of that process is making sure you get to know the players and you're interviewing them and you're trying to find those things and see that type of mindset in guys as you're getting to know them.
I know, Coach, most people don't want to reference their past job and stuff like that, but you were in a position where you guys were following up Marvin Lewis, who had been long tenured in Cincinnati. What was the process and steps that you guys had taken from a team that wasn't necessarily bad in Cincinnati under Marvin Lewis? They had a lot of consistency there to where you guys essentially, if I'm not mistaken, in year 2, took this squad to the Super Bowl, man. What was that process like? And I'm sure a lot of people will be expecting something similar here in Nashville, Coach.
That's good. High expectations are good. I embrace those. Marvin's a fantastic football coach. Like the more I've all my years in Cincinnati, as you look back what he did there and knowing what the landscape was, just how much success he had was pretty remarkable. And you just felt like at the end of that when we took over in 2019, there was just a couple of moves that had been made that the leadership had kind of fell apart. And the roster sort of took a turn. They kind of missed on a few draft picks. And so when we got there, there was work to be done. And the first year was tough. We went 2-14. Obviously, you get rewarded by being bad with number 1 pick. And so we picked a great quarterback, which is, part of the process. But again, that core guys, the core guys that were there in the difficult times, you saw the right makeup and the right mindset from a lot of those guys. That were still, again, left over from Marvin's era that were still good players. And we just need to add more of them and need to add more types of those guys back into the team. And that's what we ended up doing. And so, like I said, 2 tough years. Joe gets injured a second year. We ended up going to the Super Bowl in our third year. We added some really dynamic players in the process. But I think what helped us the most is we hit on our free agency. And we hit on our draft picks, especially the first 2-day draft picks that all end up being impact players for us. And that's going to be an important part of the process of building a team.
Coach, obviously the next few weeks very crucial in terms of putting together your staff. When it comes to working with Rand for the first time and really working as a head coach for the first time in kind of looking at players and free agency and the draft, how do you see this going about, in terms of the collaboration with you two, with Rand obviously having the final say, but how much input do you feel like you will have?
Oh, quite a bit. And I feel really good about how Rand and I are going to attack the off season here. And, there's going to be, we build these, you've heard some probably around other places, we have these profile tapes and so that way we're kind of building what we're looking for. And so now we meet on it. We show the scouts, this is what we're looking for at these positions. And now they have a clear and defined benchmark for what we want it to look like. And you may not find that player every time, but you're going to find something close to that because your eyes are looking for it and they're searching for the same type. So we're going to keep trying to find players that fit those profiles as best we can. And hopefully you look up and you've added a strong group of players in year 1 and you keep adding them. And again, there's still good players here. And like you said, you hope by year 2, year 3, you're competing to be one of the better teams in the league because you can build a team quickly in the NFL and it's built to do that. So that's also our expectation.
Brian, I know yesterday in your introductory press conference, you quoted a soccer coach in Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. I read an article in the past where you've referenced a Theo Epstein speech, a former executive of the Red Sox and the Cubs. And when you are not watching football, what are the sports you are most interested in and how much inspiration and influence do you draw from leaders who are in prominent positions like that but are in maybe the world outside of football?
Yeah, I think you can draw on so much from other people. There's in other sports like football isn't the only place where leadership matters, and so there's business books that are good. I read a lot of those types of books, and there's a lot of things in other sports and other coaches that I think is fascinating. Like I love Steve Kerr. Just people that I like to listen to and have good insight. I try to follow those guys regardless of the sport. And try to keep taking things from them and, kind of always trying to learn new things and learn different perspectives. But when it comes to, sports that I like to watch. Little known fact, I played a lot of ice hockey in my life, and
Nice.
I played all the way through college. I was on the club team at UCLA. I was a football and ice hockey player, and so I love going to watch pro hockey, and I can't wait to go watch the Preds play, man. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Love that.
No
Great
doubt
stuff.
about it.
Coach Brian Callahan has been our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, welcome to Nashville. We are really glad to have you on and are looking forward to getting to know you more and catching up more down the road. Thank you so much for the time.
Definitely.
Awesome. Great having a moment with you guys this morning. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks,
You
Coach.
too, Coach.
All right, there's Coach Brian Callahan with us this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Great stuff.